greatest console of all time. Let's just start there and accept that fact. This PlayStation 2 is the greatest console of all time. It doesn't matter about all the consoles that have come afterwards that have been graphically better. It doesn't matter about the impact that the SNES made, what the Mega Drive did, what the PlayStation 1 even did. Greatest console of all time. And this just here's my take. Because for me, I've always said, look, I'm not a hardcore gamer like my brother. Older brother is the hardcore gamer and everything. It just sort of gets passed down. But I've just been in it. We've, as a family, we've owned pretty much every games console. Buying the game magazines before the websites came through, then the introduction of IG and the GameSpot and all that kind of stuff. So the release of a console was a massive thing. It was a massive thing. So I think even before we even get to the PS2, we've got to look at the PlayStation and what that made. Because I remember before the PlayStation, SNES ruled. It was really between SNES and Mega Drive, but really, SNES was that dude, and really Nintendo were those guys, and people just saw them as, these were the grandfathers, the godfathers of the whole thing. So when the PlayStation came, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Games can actually look a lot more realistic, a lot more serious. Because when you looked at the SNES and Mega Drive, it was still very gamey. It was still very gamey. Even if whenever you'd buy like the covers and everything, they would use like real guys for the covers. When you played the actual games, they were very gamey. When the PlayStation came, because you see, when you now look at the PlayStation graphics now, you're like, oh my gosh, that looks dated. Back in, I don't know, I think it was 995. That was crazy. It was like, oh my gosh. Like when you're looking at the graphics of Resident Evil, of like MGS1, of Gran Turismo and so forth, it was a massive leap from what you saw from what SNES was giving you and Nintendo was giving you. So once the PlayStation came, it was a seismic change in the fact of video gaming and what video gaming can achieve. So I believe that was one of the very biggest jumps that was made. So obviously, once Sony knew that, wait a minute, we can actually play with this, we can actually compete with Nintendo and Sega and do something, then the whole thing was like, all right, what's the next one? Because it's the same thing you always have when like a great band brings out like an amazing first album. It's like, okay, amazing thing, but maybe you're just a flash in the pan. It's all about that sophomore album. How good is your follow-up? So the PS2 lands. And the first thing is you look at the console itself. You were like, wow. This is like just the design looks crazy. And that's why you don't F with Japan when it just comes to design and looking stylish. Like the design looks crazy itself. And once we now got that console, obviously you remember we had the early games and so forth. You're like, okay, wow, you can definitely see the leap. Because obviously everything you get with the new console there's a massive graphical leap. But for me, I'm not a graphics merchant. I'm about, let's see how good your gameplay is. One of my favorite games I've played is Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter's graphics ain't that cutting edge, but the gameplay is incredible. So it was always about the games, and this was the crux of why the PS2 is the greatest console of all time. Because, and it's so sad, and we'll probably get to this with regards to what has happened afterwards. It started a bit slow, and it just maintained its pace. But at the center of the PS2 success was whether you're a girl, a boy, whether you're older, you're younger, whether you're into action, whether you're into RPGs, whether you're into detective stories, whether you want to use your brain more, whether you're into sports games and so forth, there is going to be a game for you. The sheer volume of games that Sony just kept on pumping into PS2 week after week year after year after year, was incredible. But that's just one thing. But it's about the heavy hitters. It's about them big boys. It's about them big boys. And for me, look, there were some amazing games on the PS2. I always say this to people. If you can try and find Soul River, The Legacy of Kain. I think Soul River 1 was on the PS2, I believe, but definitely the Soul River 2 was on the PS2. If you can find this, incredible. And of course, the flipping amazing thing that is MGS2 and so forth. So there were lots of amazing games. What solidified the PlayStation 2 and the game that just because there were two things, and I will get to. So it's this game, or this game franchise, and the longevity. But specifically, because obviously, once the PS2 came through, you're like, okay, wow, look, this is amazing. Like PlayStation, I'm not taking this to the next level right now. But there was not yet that full stop. There wasn't yet that full stop of like, okay, this is where there's no point in even competing. So, Nintendo were like, because remember, I think N64 was still saying what's up. So I think this was around the time of N64, and I think this was also the introduction of GameCube. People thought, okay, maybe we can say something. But what ended it was, I believe this was in, I think this was either 01 or 02. It was either 01 or 02. Because I remember this so vividly. Because I remember, and I'll maybe say this again. I was in school, and I was looking at my friend play GTA 2, which was obviously set in London. And I remember saying to my friend, man, if they make this 3D, this will be the greatest game of all time. And I remember saying that, just because, I was looking at it, and we were playing it on the PC. I remember it was from a bird's eye view, and I just said to myself that, man, if they made this thing 3D, this could be the craziest game. And I remember picking up, when there was announced that, we're now going to do GTA 3. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I don't really play the PC game. And I remember picking up the magazine and just looking through, because they did like a preview on it, and I was like, no way. A 3D city where you can walk around and do whatever you want and you have the freedom. I was like, there is no way. Impossible. Lo and behold, GTA 3 came out. And for me, there are many, many points. I said, the PlayStation, I think, was a seismic change. I'm going out on a limb here. People may disagree with me, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I believe that the biggest change, the most groundbreaking event okay, you know what? I believe there are two groundbreaking events in gaming. That's just me, but I could be wrong. The first was Xbox Live. I feel that is one of the most groundbreaking moments in gaming that just changed the way in which we actually can interact and actually play online. But I believe the second most groundbreaking event in gaming was GTA 3, the release on PS2. And once that occurred, once that game came out, it was like, finished, it's done. It's a done deal. It's a complete done deal. And I remember so vividly when I played the game the first time, and you have to go through the whole intro thing, and you just walk through, and I was like, oh my, I just felt like if I'm not witnessing history, I am taking part in a historic event. And then for me, if that wasn't enough, PS just tripled and quadrupled down and just sacrificed and lubricated every single competition by saying, you know what, we're going to even drop GTA Vice City. And for me, I always say, we can have discussions of greatest video games of all time. For me, Vice City is amongst the greatest video games of all time. Hands down, easily one of the greatest video games of all time, and absolutely outstanding game. It is a masterpiece. When you just play the game, you're like, oh no, there is no game like this. This game is different. It's on a whole other level. So, but also more so is the PS2 just kept on going. And you know what solidified me of saying this is the greatest console? I remember when the PS3 came out. And remember when even the 360 came out, people still had a PS2, because then you then had the PS2 Slim. And I remember that where we got our little cousins like a pink PS2 for them, and the PS2 kept on going. I was like, this is we're going through for 5, 6, 7 years. The next generation consoles have come out. You saw more people going back and maintaining playing the games on the PS2 than switching over to the PS3. So that in itself is the killer. That you can talk about the gamings, the graphics, the design, the so forth, the impact, but the longevity is the greatest testament. The longevity is the greatest testament. As in, because if you go to someone's house and you see them playing like an N64, you're like, oh my, okay, that's old school. Or you see them playing okay, yeah, you're going old school. If you go to someone's house and you see them playing on a PS2, you wouldn't necessarily say old school. You were like, you were like, you just nod your head like, it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, so look, man, it's the PS2. You have to praise it, So happy birthday to the PlayStation 2, greatest console of all time. And also, even this one, I wanted to say, gaming ain't the same anymore. And you see, when the PS2 was released, the focus was we're making a gaming console, not an entertainment system. We're making a gaming console, and we have a sole duty and a commitment to try to develop as many quality games as possible. But when the PS3 came out, which was overpriced, hence why it lost to the 360, and now with the introduction of the PS4 and the Xbox One, these companies are now departed away from just making quality games. And in their stupidity, that is how Nintendo has come in. Because what's made the PS2 successful is what made Nintendo successful. Nintendo has always been we're about quality of games. We're not about looking cool with the crazy graphics, DLCs, overpriced stuff. We're like, no, you are going to play the most imaginative, creative games. And that is what PS2 did. Like, we're going to create the most imaginative games. But they've now lost their way. Because the PS2 made so much money, they were so successful. They're like, nah. Let's go beyond gaming now. Let's not just do DVDs, Netflix apps and so forth. And that is why you've now seen a lot of people are now going to Nintendo. We're like, bro, I just want to play a game. That's why you've seen the rise in mobile gaming. That's why mobile gaming sales are now even doing better than console gaming. So that's just, and I think it is so apt that we're now talking about the PS2 because again, gaming consoles have lost their way. I ain't buying a PS5 day one. I am buying a I am buying a flipping Xbox, what it's Scorpion whatsoever day one. That's just not happening because I'm like, if you don't give me games, no, they were quality launched. I think if FIFA was a launch title on the PS2 when FIFA was actually good, if you don't give me quality games, I can use BT Sports, Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube, and so forth on the PS4 I already have. On the Xbox One I already have. So you're going to charge me what today? £700 for yet another entertainment system that will do what exactly? But what the games are you bringing out? And remember, it's not just about how amazing your graphics are. See, graphics is just like the graphics is like the nice icing on the cake, is the finishing touch. The meats and bones, the actual taste, the texture and everything is the gaming experience. What is the gameplay like? What is the story like? What is the experience like? How does this make it unique? Like Heavy Rain was unique based on a storytelling. Soul River on a storytelling. Zelda, the incredible, superb gameplay. GTA, the freedom and the sandbox aspects of the whole thing. Mass Effect, how you feel like if you're in a sci-fi movie where the choices you make determine your outcome, apart from Mass Effect 3, which was a brick game. So, yeah, man. Look, man, PS2 was that dude. PS2 was that dude, 100%, a flipping chief ogre of gaming consoles. PS2, we salute you. Peace out. Stay black.